Please take your seats quickly so that we can start this intellectually stimulating session. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the delightful lunch and networking session. We are now moving into the afternoon session of day one of the 5th International Conference on Corporate Social Responsibility 2025. We'll commence the afternoon session with a paper presentation, which will also feature some special talks. May I invite on stage Mr. Utsav Kumar Singh, Visiting Scholar, International Center for Public Policy, Andrew Young School of Public Studies, Georgia State University, and Professor Manish Mohan Baral, Assistant Professor CIMP, as the people who will be chairing the session. By Professor Venkataya Chittipaka. He's Associate Professor, School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, Telangana. Next on board we have Babli Kumari, Senior Lecturer and DL Coordinator, FHE, Botho University, Gale Education Park, Gaborone, Botswana. Good afternoon, everyone. We have Professor Venkataya Chittipaka, Associate Professor, School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, Telangana. Please give him a big round of applause.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. Yeah, very good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm here to discuss with you some of the important aspects which are related to sustainable development goals. I'm going to mostly, touch upon the SDG 11 actually, right? So here we're going to our presentation goes like this, because I'm going to talk mostly on this development of smart cities towards achieving the SDG 11 goals. With respect to Telangana state, right? So here the agenda of this presentation is like this actually. So we will try to look at what is this SDG 11 talks about, and how Telangana state is implementing this SDG framework. That also we'll try to discuss how, going forward. And then we'll see the smart cities mission overview, how when the government of India has taken a decision to develop smart cities for the smarter goals. So let us also more focus on understanding the mission, smart cities mission overview, how it is, and how a majority of the states actually contributing to develop the smart cities project. And also we'll try to look at the key projects what are actually taking place in the state, like Telangana state. Like I've taken two major cities apart from Hyderabad, Warangal and Karimnagar is one of the two upcoming, like those smart cities, green cities I can say. And also we'll have some cursory look at the infrastructure and the technological initiatives taken by government of Telangana. And now if you look at what exactly this sustainable development cities and the because if you look at the sustainable development goals, especially with respect to the goal number 11, where we mostly focus on the development of sustainable cities and the communities, right? So if you look at here, basically if you look at how India is going forward in developing this, the smart cities and then sustainable communities, right? So India is majorly focusing on developing the sustainable cities and also the communities, right? So where we segregated the urban development is one criteria, and also the smart cities mission is another criteria, and then community engagement is one thing. What how this to achieve this SDG 11 goals, government has divided into three categories: urban, and then smart cities, and then community engagements. Nowadays, if you look at in majority of the metropolitan cities, I'm sure you must be seeing very big size, apartments are coming with a, 50-story buildings, 100-story buildings, right? And with a capacity of more than, 3,000 families, the 5,000 families living at the same place, right? And the question here is that, the sustainability is a question actually going forward here, right? So to meet all that kind of, the future challenges, how government is taking and, the kind of, the initiatives to sustain in the future, right? So we are going to discuss this with a special emphasis on Telangana state, right? So here, if you look at the SDG 11 goals, which talks about the sustainable cities and the communities. So here, mostly, if you look at when we are developing this, the sustainable cities. So sustainable cities always going to make the cities more inclusive, safe, resilient, and then more sustainable, right? That's how majority of the the stakeholders who actually involved in developing these smart cities, the sustainable kind of the programs, they are mostly focusing on this more inclusiveness, safety, and then resilience, and also going to ensure the access to adequate, safe, and affordable housing, because smart cities, they as a part of this sustainable cities, right? So idea is the government always trying to include every stakeholder as a part of having a good house, good accommodation, right, and then good health, and then good well-being, right, all these kind of things, and then provides safe, affordable, accessible transportation systems when we talk about the sustainable cities and the communities, and then it reduces the adverse environmental impacts of the cities, because as you know that if you look at down the line next 15 to 20 years, then I'm sure we are going to see the sea change in the living standards of the people, right? If you look at the metro cities, now we have already been experiencing this with the help of the way the cities are growing, the way the governments are more focusing on expanding the cities with the help of the technology and all the kind of things that I'm going to present here as a part of this presentation. And also the kind of the protection, the and protecting the cultural heritage and the natural areas, also one of the most important aspects, which is integral part of this SDG 11, right? And let us try to look at what are the key targets of this SDG 11, because the United Nations have announced by 2030 we have to achieve this this goals, sustainable development goals, right? So that is one set of targets, keeping the targets intact, and then proceeding forward in to achieve these kind of the goals, right? Let us see how each state, because I've taken the state where I'm living currently, how Telangana government is implementing in realizing the goals of this SDG by 2030. So here, if you look at the key targets, which I am going to emphasize here, the first target is providing adequate and safe housing and basic services. This is one of the key target area which government of Telangana has kept as a part of this SDG 11, and also the second point is providing safe, affordable, and sustainable transport. Looking at the requirements and looking at the developments which are taking place, right? Majority of the governments nowadays are taking a lot of initiatives towards the transportation, especially introducing the green buses, especially the electric vehicles. I can say it, right? So majority of the government of India especially encouraging the entrepreneurs to come up with a kind of the electric vehicle manufacturing units in India by providing variety of the tax incentives also. That is also a part of this developing sustainable communities, right? And then the third key target is like, inclusiveness, and then sustainable urbanization is another criteria, the target, key target to achieve by 2030, right? To achieve this, so most of the state governments are taking active, participation, active role in, achieving this sustainable urbanization. And the other key area is that protecting the cultural heritage and the natural areas, because see, in the form of, developing, the smart cities, in the form of, the developing, various, the greenfield projects, we should not lose the kind of, the heritage structures, right? For example, Hyderabad, there is, famous heritage structure. I'm sure you must be knowing Charminar, right? Charminar is one of the most popular place where most of the tourists across the world come, and whenever they come to Hyderabad, the place which no one, wanted to miss is the Charminar is a place, right? So to protect this kind of, cultural heritage sites and the natural, areas. Another thing is, the Golconda Fort also, one of the most important area in Hyderabad where, the government of, Telangana is protecting, right? And the other key target area is reducing the adverse environmental impacts, reducing the, adverse environmental impacts by adopting the technologies, right? So that, they try to always automate the whole processes to reduce the even the pollution levels, also by adopting variety of, the environmental impact, assessment, methods. And the seventh key target area is all about universal access to green spaces. Universal access to green spaces. Nowadays, if you look at what's happening, especially in the urban areas, especially, in the cities, metropolitan cities, when the government is giving, permission to the, builders, especially, they are, always trying to ensure, going for, the kind of, the ensuring the green initiatives taken by that particular, the builders, right? So the development units, that's how, they are trying to ensure greenhouse concept, and then, trying to reduce the carbon, emission levels at the time, right from the beginning of the construction of that particular city, right? Because if you look at a place like Hyderabad, in Hyderabad, the western part of Hyderabad, growing like anything. A place like, the Gachibowli, where our university is there, adjacent to is that, there's a IT hub, there is a financial district, from that area, there is a, one of the area, place called, the Tellapur. It is in the most emerging city in Hyderabad. Very big size apartments with a, 50-story building, 100-story, buildings with a, almost, 3,000 to 5,000, the flats. Imagine, when the people started living in that projects, occupying that projects, the kind of, the carbon emission levels are going up, and then how it is going to sustain in the future, right? So to address all these things, right from the beginning itself, while designing the buildings, they're taking utmost care, and then upon that only they are getting the approvals to that, right? That's how, most of the, projects which are being initiated are going to be taken care in the initial itself towards, achieving these goals of, SDG, right? By 2030, at least, ensuring this, at least, may help the, a city towards, building the, green city, or, sustainable, communities developing the, right? So now, let us look at how Telangana is, coming up with this, developing this SDG 11 strategy, right? So here, what government of Telangana is that, it is the most popular project actually offering double bedroom housing scheme for the weaker sections. Government of India, because it's all about, they wanted to see more inclusiveness by offering this double bedroom housing schemes for the weaker section of the people who are living in that particular state, because they divided the entire state into like the east Telangana, west, and then north, and then south. Because earlier, if you look at the state, Telangana is formed in the year 2014. Earlier, it was the combined state of Andhra Pradesh actually. So after formation of this Telangana state, so Telangana government of Telangana is following different approach towards developing this the sustainable smart cities and the community development kind of the projects, right? And the other one is Telanganaku Haritaharam is one of the most important project taken by government of Telangana. It is like a greenery initiative, because it's like a greenery initiative. They are going to plant the trees in lakhs of trees. They're going to government of Telangana is taking initiative every year to plant the trees across the state, so that they can bring the more greenery at workplaces, at the place where you live, and then across the state, I can say it is, and also especially the cities, the new cities which are coming up, right? And the other one is the CCTV surveillance and security measures, like the SHE teams. SHE teams is one of the most important the concept initiated by the Telangana government, which protects especially the women, because in Hyderabad there are several kind of the multinational companies have been set up, and people are working 24 by 7. And then there is especially the women candidates who are working, they need more kind of the safety, right? So the SHE teams are going to work 24 by 7 using this technology, like the CCTV surveillance and then security measures as well. And also the departmental mapping with SDG targets is another the strategy how the state government is going forward. And also TS-DPS monitoring and implementation oversight, because this is where the Telangana police is going to take care of the whole entire city by deploying high definitional CC cameras, and then it's like the cop free policing, I can say it is. They can just trace the people by sitting at one control room, and then they can monitor the whole operations, what's happening at the different places across the state, right? And then smart cities mission in India, if you look at, because every state which is trying to be part of this implementation of this sustainable development goals, they have to follow the nation first, and then states, and then it goes like that, right? So here, and if you look at the national initiative to develop smart cities providing core infrastructure and the quality of life, especially if you look at the mission. And also the ICT enabled urban development is another mission what government of India is set for. And then sustainable infrastructure and then services is also another things. These are the three mission statements as a part of developing these smart cities. Because if you look at one Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken in 2014 as Prime Minister of India, then he announced the variety of kind of the developmental activities, like the smart cities, one of the most interesting concept during those times, if you remember, right? So they government of India initially identified some 100 smart cities to develop, and then like that it created interest to several state governments, and then they also come forward to develop the smart cities by identifying the most important places in that particular the states. So like that, in government of in Telangana state also, government of Telangana identified 3 cities like Hyderabad, and then Warangal, and then Karimnagar. These are the major 3 cities which actually has taken to develop as a smart cities, right? And also citizen engagement and then digital connectivity is another mission when we talk about the smart cities concept, right? So this is all about the on this mission, how government of India is going forward in developing these smart cities in India. And then smart cities mission in Telangana, if you look at, there are 3 cities, as I said, like, Hyderabad, where, developing the smart roads and then developing intelligent traffic management system. And then in Warangal, it is all about urban mobility and then green spaces, developing the green spaces, and then especially the city like Karimnagar, and where, improving the civic amenities, and then, going towards, implementation of the e-governance. Right. See here, the kind of initiatives, taking place may differ from city to city actually, because it's all about, inclusiveness one side, and the other side it is all about, looking at the, developmental aspect side, right? So if you look at Hyderabad is a metropolitan city, and it requires, the another level of, the developmental activities, right? And then Warangal is a tier 2 city, I can say. So where, more priority is given to the urban mobility and also the green spaces. And then same is the case with, the Karimnagar place, right? So these are the, yep. Yep. So these are the 2 cities apart from Hyderabad, what I'm, saying. And the greater Warangal, the progress, if you look at, I just to give the snapshot of it, right? So how so far it happens, actually the total allocation of the budget is 512 crores. And then projects implemented so far is 51, ongoing projects are, taking place, and then completed works are 45 projects finished. And then under progress is 66 works worth, 518 crores. And then Karimnagar city, if you look at the progress of this city, because these are the small places I can say, but after this initiative, the entire look and feel of those particular cities have completely changed. And then coming to this Karimnagar city, it is allocation is 282 crores, and the implemented projects like, the 21 ongoing projects, and then completed 25 projects, and then under progress it is 22 worth 287 crores. And I'm talking about the intelligent infrastructure systems, where intelligent traffic control systems have been, established in Hyderabad, and then e-challan and traffic enforcement, like, Hawk High, is being, established in Hyderabad. And then, CCTV surveillance, and then smart water management monitoring systems and all. And then digital connectivity projects also, there in Hyderabad especially, like, Hi-Fi project, and then Wi-Fi enabled city infrastructure, and then free public Wi-Fi access for citizens, and then digital inclusion for commercial tourism sectors like this. So here I'll, as I said, it is all about the safety and security initiatives. It's a copeless society project with CCTV, a coverage, where, they have installed, CCTV completely across, the cities where, I talked about Warangal, Karimnagar, and majority of the places. And Hyderabad Smart City Advancement Scheme also has been, initiated, where, it is a Wi-Fi enabled city completely, and installing 10,000 CCTV cameras in the entire city to monitor the entire, Hyderabad. And because apart from this, I'll just, these are the sustainability initiatives. Yeah, this is what I wanted to more focus on. Recently, 2 days back, on 8th and 9th, Government of India actually come up with a kind of initiative to launch Future City in Telangana. Yeah, done. This is the last one. So Future City in Telangana. Future City, the concept of Future City in Telangana is, it's one of the India's, the first net zero certified smart city actually, greenfield smart city. And Chief Minister Revanth Reddy has initiated this project, and then invited almost close to 400 to 500 delegates across the globe to visit Hyderabad to be part of this, conference. Actually, it was held on December 8th and 9th, just 2 days back. And the idea of this developing this smart city, future city, is that zero emissions and energy neutrality target, and then renewable rainwater harvesting and water conservation, and then solar power, and infrastructure and waste management like this, right? So these are the kind of innovation hubs and then economic developmental kind of things initiated by the government of Telangana, and these are the implementation and solutions. And the alignment of this is just I am running it. And the way forward is that Telangana smart city initiatives demonstrates a strong commitment to SDG 11 through the integrated urban development, inclusive growth, and the sustainable infrastructure, and towards building inclusive, safe, and then sustainable cities. Right. So with this, I conclude the case of how government of Telangana is trying to implement this SDG 11 goals with a target of achieving it by 2030. Thank you.
We recently got a project from Bihar State Biodiversity Board.
Okay.
So they are referring to Hyderabad has a city biodiversity index they have developed.
Yes, yes.
So I will not take you to there, but since I am from Hyderabad Central University and we enjoy that greenery within the university, so I'm just querying, you discussed the plan of Telangana state government, but whether university has kind of some policy maintaining some SDG goals or environment or biodiversity. I know the rock, lake, all these are there, but
Mushroom rock.
yeah, but I don't know the policy, whether it is discussed now within the university regarding the SDG plantation drive and all this.
Yeah, University of Hyderabad also taking initiatives actually in maintaining that eco balance, right? And then, but so far there are no such kind of the organized way of conducting the activities not happening. But yes, it is trying to
now it is a mandate, like NBA also we have to follow SDG guidelines.
Yes. Now it is. They're trying to because recently they have come up with a kind of CSR policy, and then drafting the guidelines actually as a part of implementing all these SDG goals.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, sir. So there is. Oh, my name is Dr. Pooja Kumari. I'm working as a lecturer at New Government Polytechnic, Patna.
Okay.
So I have just one small query, sir.
Yep.
Sir, as you said that the smart city that Telangana is developing is, I just wanted to know that that this concept of smart city is wholly aligned with the SDG 11 or some part of it.
No, you see, when not only it is confining to SDG 11, right? There are 17 sustainable development goals, right? So when the government is developing a project, they take care of all this. So now I am just focusing only on this only one goal actually.
So sir,
When developing the smart cities, yes, government is more focusing in all this towards achieving these sustainable development goals.
So we can say that the development of any smart city in India is somehow approaching to the SDG 11.
Yes, the basic idea of the sustainable development goals is that only, because bringing awareness among all the people in the society is more important, especially when we talk about sustainable development goals. Yes.
हाँ नहीं, लेकिन इन्होंने स्मार्ट सिटी के बारे में बताया ना सर, तो मैं ये जानना चाह रही हूँ कि जैसे स्मार्ट सिटी सिर्फ तेलंगाना में नहीं बन रहा है, बिहार में भी बन रहा है, तो फिर हम लोग भी उस गोल को कहीं ना कहीं अचीव कर रहे हैं, कर सकते हैं. थैंक यू.
मैम कि स्मार्ट सिटीज़ और उसके रिगार्डिंग जो भी मतलब हुआ है कि स्मार्ट सिटीज़ कब डेवलप होगा, जब हमारे सिटीजन स्मार्ट होंगे, वो फाइनल स्टेज है. So that's why we kept in SDG we kept it at the 11 stage.
Yes.
वो तो बाद में, पहले तो हमें बाकी सारे गोल जब कंप्लीट होंगे तब जाके कि स्मार्ट सिटी बनेगा. अदरवाइज हम एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो क्रिएट कर देंगे, और उसमें अगर रहने वाले लोग स्मार्ट नहीं तो सिटी कैसे स्मार्ट होगा.
तो एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है, एक छोटा स्मॉल क्वेश्चन.
Yes, sir.
Ajit from Khushigram. ये जो जैसे स्मार्ट सिटीज़ जो बन रहा है, तो स्मार्ट सिटीज़ जब बनने मतलब शुरू हुए, जब प्रोसेस स्टार्ट हुआ, तब एसडीजी डिसाइड हो गया था, फाइनल हो गया था, साइन हो गया था। तो क्या स्मार्ट सिटीज़ में कितने सारे एसडीजीज मतलब गोल्स को अगर बोले तो 17 में से कितने सारे कवर होते हैं, या फिर अगर टारगेट्स 169 बोले तो उसमें से कितने कवर होते हैं रफली, या मिनिमम होने चाहिए या होते हैं? तेलंगाना का ही आप एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं।
No, sir. Actually, SDG goals gives a kind of the direction. Okay, where the governments are taking that as an input and then started thinking in that lines and then developing it. There is no as such kind of the criteria to keep this many only, right? It all depends on the way government is trying to take the things into consideration.
Actually, I just wanted to know कि तेलंगाना में, in Telangana, how many like जैसे 1 to 17 में how many goals the government is able to include in the smart cities mission there? 3, 4, 5, 6.
They primarily focus on the education, right? Let's say 4, 5 goals, right? Because they're considering the education, right? Social security, right? All these things, community development, all other things are taking place
because mainly smart cities, what I have understood is in last 10 years I have chaired 2 smart villages program also in at the national level. What I found is smart cities is generally considered integrating information technology.
Yes,
that is mainly what is smart cities everywhere. There is not much of human development or sustainable development involved there. So that is the unfortunate part of it.
Because they also now reaching the rural areas, also developing small cities, upgrading them to a smarter version of the same. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Babli Kumari, Senior Lecturer and DL Coordinator, FHE Boho University, Kale Education Park, Gaborone, Botswana. Let me brief you about her. She is a lecturer at Boho University, Botswana, with expertise in hospital administration, health informatics. Over a decade of academic experience, she contributes to curriculum development, program development, and interdisciplinary research in healthcare and education. Her work spans health, telehealth integration, maternal mortality, cervical cancer awareness, and intelligent tutorial systems in STEM education. Can we have, ma'am? Can we have Babli Kumari ma'am on stage? Okay. Please join me in welcoming ma'am Babli Kumari.
Thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon one and all. I think I'm audible. Yes. Good afternoon one and all, and my today's topic is about CSR, what we do as Botswana, as a country in Botho University, and what steps we have taken towards. So our topic is knowledge and community leveraging academia, because we all are educational institutions over here, and then we all have to think about how sustainable practices and the community development can be taken up with the role of taking academia in our practices. So we are going to deal with India and Botswana CSR. So our objective of today, it's not moving. Can I have? Yeah. Okay. This one is not moving. The pointer is not moving. So this is the objective, to understand us together as being an academician, and we can leverage our information together. So what does Botswana do as a country, and how we can improve together? And we could also create a partnership with academic institutions for research, student exchange programs, fostering entrepreneurial environment, and promoting women's empowerment. And this is what we are. So let us look at CSR Vision 2036, which says prosperity for all. And this is an African philosophy. So whenever the terms come in my mind about CSR, that the first term, that African philosophy, which is coming from generations and part of it from the African philosophy, which is known as Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is not just a term. Ubuntu is basically means moto ke moto ka baat ho, which means that for people, by people, and do for the people. And that's what we follow it as an African philosophy. So when it comes to CSR institutions, so Botho, as Botho University, we talk about the philosophy of this particular essential, which signifies human independence, a core foundational element of sustainability. And this is how where both university we stand us together. So our vision is to help. Our vision is to help and build diversified, fast-growing and prosperous Africa based on integrity, excellence, inclusiveness, and financial viability. And when it comes towards an educational institution, so around of 17 SDG goals, as an educational institution, we have actually achieved and taken our footprint marks to 12 SDG goals. And this is referred, you can refer this particular, where we have a PDF file where you can actually look at which all SDG goals we have marked up as an university. So what is the role of academia and how we are going to build it? So research and expertise, that is one of them, where we can actually take a vital research capabilities and expertise taken up into this changes into CSR strategies, which could be data-driven and contextual relevant to it. So as an institution, we can think of students taking a role model and becoming each one of us as a socially responsible. So each one of us actually should take part being responsible for doing our own part of the social responsibility. Collaboration and opportunities, partnership between academia, institution, business can lead to innovative CSR projects. Like as in the morning, sir was discussing about co-production, and that is where we come from. Consumer and customers should be together working towards it so that we can make a better future together. And then we have educating future leaders. Higher education institution can equip students with necessary skills, like how we talk about in daily lives. We talk about do not use plastic products. It can create cancerous. We talk about let's not waste water, let's not waste bee sanitation, hygiene. All these are part of us where we actually take a voice out for the harmful or carcinogenic items that has to be taken as part in our society. And now we have to actually improvise for what? We have to improvise in a manner of so that we can be aware of those products. And that's where we should have educated learners, aware learners. So we actually work on those awareness of those learners, what we are using, how we are progressing, and where we are doing a co-production of it. So that is important part. So international approach, inclusively Botswana. Let me take you a very interesting fact. In the morning also, Chatterjee sir was talking about, only India has this mandated policy related to it that CSR, 2% of CSR, according to the net profit, they have to actually achieve. But across any international, they don't have mandated policies. It's based on ethics, it's based on community needs, it's based on national development, priorities. We actually see the society as it is, and then after that we marked upon. So none of the international Botswana doesn't have any policies. It's just on interest. It is an interest-based one. So if you see CSR, according to UN agenda, we have just taken a participation. You can go to UNDP site and you can look for Botswana, and you can see over there that we have actually taken our steps. Because Botswana is very dry country. It has taken a footsteps. You must have heard about Kalahari. And Kalahari is very dry. So there is a lot of climate. There is no farming which can be done apart from beef. Beef is the most farming production that we do. We produce the best beef in the world. And that's what the exporters, they do that. And then, but in India, we have lots of farm remaining over here, but we are not doing practices which can be genuine. We are approaching towards chemical-based sites and other things and moving through, and which is harming us, our health. So let's be aware on that particular part. Then these are the SDG goals that we were talking about. Okay, I'm forgetting to. So these are the SDG goals that we are talking about. So we have covered almost 12 of them out of 17. And let us tell you just one small story about Botho University, how we are actually tackling all these SDG goals. We are actually not using any plastic bottles in our university at all. We don't use plastics at all. We don't use any plastic spoons at all. We don't do that. We actually minimize our water consumption by using that tap flow. And then we also are paperless based university. We led with technology, we led with paper and documents, and that's how we make mark on it. And then let's talk about other thing. We give quality education, we actually technology driven, curriculum based, hands-on experience, and that's the quality education that we provide at university. Being an academician, I also follow the same steps. I am at the curriculum development. We actually deal with those kind of modules which actually you can go with it as you can be industry ready learners or the professors or professionals. That's where you can be a part of it. So India and Botswana, these are the CSR focus areas. Now, HIV and AIDS prevention and healthcare is one of the biggest challenge in Botswana. If you see, approx 39.9 million people worldwide have HIV and AIDS alone in Botswana. Okay? And alone in Botswana, we have only in total population of 3 million. And in that, 18.6 have been across Africa. It has covered 18.6. And India has 0.2% of HIV and AIDS. And the most importantly, if you have seen the recent news from Patna, Patna has become the hub of HIV and AIDS. So people are actually taking action towards it. But in Patna, till now, nobody has taken, there is no policy till now which can be taken up part of it. So we have to actually work accordingly. Education and scholarships, yes, obviously, as I said, we should be educative, aware learners, we should be aware educators, and we should also think about AI. When it comes to AI, we should think about plagiarism also. So how best you can use your AI. We don't say we don't use AI. You use in a correct manner, in a good manner, so that you can be using your brain, your cortex brain, where you can improvise yourself. So rural community development, environmental conservation, in terms of, because Africa has major forest and jungles, so anti-poaching, all these things have been taken care of. Young entrepreneurship, employment rates, that is one of the most biggest challenge for India and Botswana, both of them. So we have water access, sanitation, these are the few CSR focus areas that we can work together. Yeah, so these are the CSR initiatives led by private government organization. As I said, it's not mandated anywhere for us. So, but these are the organization actually taking care. So in that, we have companies like FNB, First National Bank, Debswana, the gold mining and diamond mining company, one of the largest chain, Botswana Tourism, Choppies, Mascom, and all these are some of the private institutions along with educational institutions we are taking part of CSR initiatives. Am I next? So these are the cross-border stakeholders in engagement where we create our footprints. Government and NGOs, let's engage with, collaborate with Ministry of Education. Let's align with our curriculum development activities towards with the government and NGOs where we can participate regional initiatives of broader development. Local communities. Now when it comes to local communities, we talk about green logistics, where we actually make green Africa, where we do not leave our carbon footprint. That is what the challenge is, and involve local project managers understanding this particular context, industry partners in engaging private sector firms for internships. We also do have virtual internship, research, practical skill development, extending influence beyond national borders to regional or international borders or industries where we can take part. Then we have sustainable developmental goals, using multi-country presence to tackle SDGs, continent-wide sharing best practices and resource between countries. That could be one of the part of it. Innovation and research, developing tech solutions. Now we are living in the world of AI, where Gemini has taken step. There are so many things that is already been available. Now you can use, you can reframe, you can frame, or you can even just get, if it is an ICA-based assessment, you can just pass out without using even your brain. So you can do that. So, but how best we can do, how we can develop those policies, we are currently working on plagiarism policies as an education area. And regulation that addresses shared regional challenges like food security, efficient resources, created Pan-African research networks. That could be one part of it. Then we have some more key strategies, how we can actually move together. Contextualization, value creation, partnership and transparency and accountability, where contextualization we are talking about ESG frameworks, CSR frameworks, where we can link with local realities and cultural values like Ubuntu in each country, where we can talk about prosperity for all. Then we talk about diverse stakeholders, wherever whether it is investors or employees or communities, all over here, whoever is present over here right now, currently, we all can be in a partnership with together so that we can work towards the community needs. And partnerships moving from communication to genuine partnership with diverse groups, impact sustainable change to make it, and transparency and accountability, building trust together with open engagement and reporting on impacts crucial for reputation for multiple jurisdictions. So all these key strategies for collaboration that we can actually take in account. So by integrating this regional footprint as universal as framework, as I said, Ubuntu, prosperity for all, doing good is most important than just being good. That is the one most important factor that you should take as being a corporate social responsibility. We all are part of corporate social responsibility. So let's be responsible, guys, as being educators or learners or as being a human being. And that's how we can make a change towards our world, to a better future world, a tech-oriented world. Are we together? Yes. So these are some sustainable goals and alignment that we are talking about. We are talking about the first thing as a young generation, we actually towards quality education, good health, economic growth, clean energy, climate action, and partnerships. And these are what I've done. And that's my contact. You all can scan and see. And the rest, thank you for your attention. And thank you so much, guys.
If anybody is having any queries.
Okay, currently as both university, we do have blended distance learning. So in this blended distance learning, we have across 5 faculties, computing, engineering, and then we have a MBA, business, we have health, we have education. All these sectors are actually working towards it. And we have many diploma courses, exit level outcome entry courses also available there, where you can actually join all these courses, which is micro credential also and as well as macro credential also. You can actually work on it together. So we can work together where you can actually take part into it. So we'll be together.
I would love to connect on nano credentials and micro credentials. Thank you so much. You were wonderful.
So much.
Thank you.
Yes.
You talk about Ubuntu.
Yes.
So there are nice documentary on that in the YouTube. So if you can just tell everyone what is about Ubuntu so they can go and watch that again.
Okay. Okay. Ubuntu is basically an African philosophy where we talk about that being empathetic, being equal, and being together, and prosperity for all. That is the term that we come for. And that's where it is there in an African philosophy. It doesn't only work with African philosophy and CSR, but it also works in different sections or different modules also. So look for in YouTube actually how to actually use this word Ubuntu. And it's exciting to know about it. You can look and understand this. And as in India, we should also become Batho ke Batho ka Batho. Moto ke Batho ka Batho. Yes. And that's what you should look for. That's a Setswana saying. And Setswana is the language for Botswana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are also having the similar philosophy because of you.
Yes.
So we are respecting the nature. And here we are the only community which consider Earth as our mother.
Yes.
So Africa and India both are the cradle of civilization, and we both are having the similar type of philosophies.
Yes. Sir, I am also an Indian girl. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was truly comprehensive presentation. We appreciate you sharing your important work. Now, We would like to present Memento as a symbol of our gratitude for your inspiring presence and dedication. May I request Professor Manish Mohan sir to present our dignitaries with Memento. May I now request Professor Manish Mohan sir to present Memento to Babli Kumari ma'am. Now, the next presentation is by Sen Bhagam Raja, Dr. V. Vinodam, KPR College of Arts, Science and Research, Coimbatore. And presenting the work is on CSR, Sustainable Development Goal 17, Partnership for the Goals Advancing LGBTQIA Inclusivity, Improved Sustainable Cities and Climate Action.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shen Begum, and I'm representing KPR College of Arts and Science Research, Coimbatore, belongs to Bharatiyar University, Tamil Nadu. And along with me, my mom, Vinodini, Dr. Vinodini is also available on online presentation. So today, my topic is all about a great strategic partnership of how to engage the goals. So the title is CSR SDG 17 Partnership for the Goals. So here I'm going to talk about the cross-sectoral framework that is required to accomplish all the SDG goals that we have as part of United Nations Organization goal, and that is where I am present here. First of all, thank you everyone for the opportunity, and it's great to talk about the partnership for the goals. So, so we are talking about SDGs. So when we talk about sustainable development goals, so this is for sustainability. So what exactly we are going to gain out of this SDG goals? This is for our social and economic growth of our nation and the universe, right? So globally. So we talk about SDG 17 goals in terms of, many things, right? We talk about no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. I'm sorry. Here we can see, the list of SDG 17 goals, whatever we have. And the 17th goal is the partnership one, which I'm going to emphasize. So we are talking about multiple, problems that we have in our universe or the globe, and we are trying to associate that problem by leveraging or equipping ourselves in terms of no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, resource mobilization, clean waters and sanitation, and then work on economy side, and then focusing on economic growth, reduced inequality, so basically, promoting diversity, and then sustainable cities and smart cities, and climate action, life on land, and then the justice that we do for strong institutions, and then the 17th one is the partnership for goals. So we talk about partnership for goals, and today I'm going to emphasize on the LGBTQIA inclusivity and sustainable cities and climate actions as part of our SDG goal completion or a target that we have in 2030. So this is where we would need a cross-sectoral framework. So why is it needed, first of all? So what is this SDG 17 focuses on us? Whenever we want to achieve a goal, we need to do a strategic direction and a partnership. So no organization can do anything for a CSR individually. And of course, no institution, be it an academia or any other NGO, cannot do a CSR individually. It's a common goal. So when we talk about a common goal, then here is what SDG 17 focuses on. So SDG 17 focuses on the importance of why do we need to collaborate, why do we need to cooperate among each other, and what are the pooling resources, how do we leverage the resources, and also importantly, when we are trying to leverage multiple stakeholders in order to achieve the core objective of fulfilling the CSR project accomplishment, then I would need to leverage the expertise from various stakeholders, and that is where SDG 7 focuses on. So leveraging the expertise from multiple streams or strategic partners to achieve the overall 2030 agenda for sustainable development for the globe. And this is to see how we can recognize and uplift ourselves in solving the global problems, particularly climate change, inequality. So every time we talk about unity in diversity, and we have to expand this in actions, we have to see this impact socially and economically by uplifting our own, nation. And that's where we talk about inequality, precisely the LGBTQIA, and then the smart cities. And this requires integrated solutions involving governments, civil society, most importantly, the private sector. Moving on, so what is the mission of SDG 17? Yeah, so we talk about CSR. So many of us, many of our professors, great persons, from morning we are talking about or we are learning about CSR in different, frameworks, different, wordings, and everywhere we hear that as ethics. Yeah. So CSR is an ethics for the globe, and CSR is ethic for our nation. And in order to accomplish the ethics, we need to have a proper governance, we need to have the forums, we need to have the spectrums or the paradigms. And in order to establish that, we need to have a strategic tool for building transformative. We need to have transformative partnerships for strengthening the community empowerment. So why do we need to strengthen our community? Take for an example, I've taken a goal for improving the LGBT community. So what is happening here? So we see that bias in every environment, wherever people are working in a corporate or in any institution. So how do we improve ourselves, and how do we treat our own fellow colleague or our own counterpart, the great human, in the way how we respect ourselves? So in terms of that, we would definitely need a community. We need to build a strategic direction for the policies and frameworks to ensure we come up with a sustainable innovations, we come up with a sustainable life, and then measure the progress as appropriate. So in order to measure that, we need to have a clear-cut, strategic partnership with goals. Okay, so to precisely say in SDG 17, the problem statement is major gaps that we have. So how do we address these major gaps? So what do I have? What do we have in the society now? So we talk about LGBTQIA inclusion, but again, it remains uneven globally for multiple reasons. Legally, it is not fulfilled. Socially, it is not completely accepted or understood in a better way. And then we do also have workplace discrimination. So SDG 17, as a first problem, it focuses on the LGBTQIA inclusion, number one. And number two, we do have the urbanization pressure everywhere, and we have inequitable cities lacking of highly resilience, sustainability, and inclusivity. And then the third one is climate change. So climate change or go green concepts are continuously challenging for us in every aspect, and we need to intensify our way of working to address global warming, which includes, of course, pollutioning, global warming, and definitely this takes, a high mark on mitigating the issues, adapting to various innovation strategies, and that's a problem statement of SDG 17. So moving on to the challenges of the goal that we are talking about. So basically, strategic partnership to achieve our goals. So the major challenge is the compliance, right? So we need to work across the compliance. We need to keep that as a practice. We need to achieve that as a ethics. So if we are doing that as an ethics, then this would become our discipline to execute, the SDG goals, and that is where the SDG 17 partnership for goals is all about. So here, the strategy to the framework which leverages all of this can be through an IT organization or non-IT organization along with government and NGOs. No company can do this single-handedly. Please remember, this is a corporate social responsibility to improve or uplift our nation or the global universe. So that being the focus, the criticality of strategic partnership with goal remains constant, and we need to keep innovating ourselves in terms of building the right, sectors. So the strategy which is built on this platform, so any strategy, whatever we do in SDG, that needs to be aligned with the partnership, right? So that is to socially and economically, we need to grow. Yeah. Okay, so how do you do this? So this we can do it through cross-sectoral partnership model, and this model we can build it on the SDG 7 platform. And with respect to the context, what is the context of SDG 17? What is our focus area? Why does it matter most? To emphasize here, we are executing day in, day out. Every organization, particularly every conglomerate, is working on CSR programs. In those CSR programs, okay, sure. In those programs, the core focus is on how do we do a cross-sector. For example, I'm a university and I need to do some CSR activity. Then whom should I leverage with? We need to know those partners clearly, and we have to do a strategic direction, plan, and then execute, monitor, and evaluate. Similarly, the another action related to the SDG 17 is technology sharing. So all of us, we are in the technology era, and we can leverage technology as in open minds to ensure the AI, ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning is leveraged to accelerate the activities related to our partnership. Then global value chains. So here is where we can do fair trading, we can do sourcing, we can see how we can work on a vendor or supplier related things. We can also work across the countries and do a fair practice on environmental standards and invest in their capacity. And public and private dialogues, yes, this is the policy influencer which helps us in engaging with governments, and that is where we would also need a regulatory and clarity, and that's where, public-private dialogues are important. Coming to the data contribution. So when we talk about SDG 17, partnership for goals, we need data contribution, data monitoring, data collection in an effective way, utilizing the advanced corporate data capabilities to provide reliable standard data to public bodies, and that will help us to measure the impact, monitor it, and then consistently improvise ourselves. Yeah, so CSR alignments. How do we align ourselves? As I emphasized earlier, we need to have cross-sector partnerships, which is very, very important. Leverage technology, particularly artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now we have got a lot of open source tools, so we can leverage that. And global value chains, very, very important. Across the globe, within the borders, within the nations, within institutions, we can leverage value chains, and then public-private dialogue, and then data contribution. So we can execute this, and I have come up with a plan. 3 phases of plan I have come up with in order to execute the SDG 17 goal for 2030. And in 2025, we have done some establishment, creating the index and all that. And that's where we are now. And we are working with multiple, top or big 5 companies in executing that. Then moving on to the phase 2, where we have to do the execution and integration. This is for the phase 2026 to 2027. So why is this needed? Yeah. So why is this needed? This is to translate policy into demonstrable physical and social impact, driving the momentum towards the goals. So here I've come up with an internal plan to achieve the SDG 17 goal for 2028, and then that can be evaluated and monitored for driving the execution and integration for cities and climate, inclusivity and climate, and then finance-related aspects by sourcing ourselves or leveraging our partnership with banking institutions. And the phase 3 is all about 2025. I've put an internal deadline of 2025 for scaling and advocacy, where we can leverage public reporting and scale up as appropriate with respect to CRUC models. And leveraging the global expertise is very, very important here. So we can leverage infrastructure, we can leverage energy, for example, L&T, RIL, or Adani. So those things, or the technical sectors, or technical conglomerates, Infosys, TCS, and Wipro, or there are so many, startup organizations who are interested in CSR, so we can leverage their global expertise in order to achieve our CSR goals, and that's where the SDG 17 is focusing on. Then leveraging the international powers is also important as part of collaboration. So this is where we have a framework for SDG 17, Partnership for Goals. And so global exposure we talked about, and then leveraging the international powers is important for collaborating ourselves in order to effectively complete the CSR goals. And then financial and investment leverage, capital injection, yes, we would need to partnership, and then technology. So all this we are already doing, and we are not doing it in an effective way, and that's where we need a rigor on how we can how we can do a strategic partnership and then organize ourselves for a complete commitment and bring the ethics of CSR as a practice. And yeah, so we have the technology transfer and digital cooperation activities also. I have listed all of that. I can share my Gmail. If you have any questions on this financial partnership for policies or advocacy on technology, please feel free to reach out to me. And the core emphasis here on this topic is leverage the partnership with goals as appropriate in order to complete the CSR projects in any volume, be it mid-size or a massive one. Leverage the partnership for goals as appropriate. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for listening patiently to me.
Question and answer round. Oh, please.
Open question and answer round is open for.
Any questions?
A strategic partnership for goals, SDG 17. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was truly comprehensive presentation. We appreciate you sharing your important work on sustainability, the LGBTQIA,